Honky, let's answer some questions. Or
Enough
is that Rob's
Iowa.
job?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
no.
so we haven't got a lot of
people.
questions. It's more like comments too.
Well,
and
John
they were cool?
John Devon, who I know who John is because he's a strong human being. He's Amy's husband and like black belt 3 times over. And he was one night he was trying to do I was like, just do like a small black belt thing on my arm. Just do something. And he just
small black belt thing.
And he just like hit it one time. I was like, I thought he broke my arm, and he was just like tapping it. And I was like, you're a strong guy. Anyways, he wrote, one of his questions was about what your favorite players were. I don't know if you can bring that up, Rob.
There was that. I can bring that up, but first, Ortwin Steinem.
Oh, this is Boomer.
I was gonna say that has to be Boomer.
Boomer. And he's texting me. He's texting me right now saying you can't prove anything, so you know that it's him. But
yeah, that's Australian rules football. Nobody knows that, and apparently
I do. And
I
actually watched that match.
Honky's a Richmond fan.
Yeah, I'm a Richmond guy.
Australian college.
I'm a North Melbourne.
Oh yeah, you went to Australian college.
Yeah.
Let's
see here.
Enough of steam though. Bring up John's question though.
Where is John? Is he Husker? No, that's Husker Kara. I'm sorry. I'm really bad at this. Oh, John said he would love to hear everyone's favorite player. So I was trying to avoid like the men asking questions about like who your favorite player is because you guys mentioned.
This is a good question.
Because you guys mentioned how much you hate it when guys do that, but now you know what? I'm asking.
Not favorite player.
They like Alex Trebek. He asked questions. It's okay.
Okay, can you all tell me?
It's not the
safety on the 1972.
There it is.
That's what we don't like. Actually, it was.
Okay, so John asked, I'd be interested in hearing everyone's player, and we want your top 5 plays from that player and what quarter in the game that it happened. We'll start with you,
what was his total yards?
Let's do it.
Actually, let's
favorite player like football, because my favorite player is Nicklin Hames.
Oh,
there you go.
Nice.
Current.
Yeah, that's a good question.
All-time favorite player in any sport is probably Alex Gordon.
Okay.
Also good Husker.
We'll go to Abby.
So
and you can say multiple sports. You don't have to just do one. Or
football specifically is Grant Wistrom. Was that? Well, I don't know what that noise was. Was that a disapproving noise? No, okay, that's like just thinking back to Grant Wistrom and feeling nice.
So we just like a quick sidebar. So I'm on the Alumni Foundation, the official like alumni chapter down here in St. Louis, and one of the guys on our board played for Nebraska, has a couple rings, and still talks to Grant because I like how I say that, like we're friends. I use his first name, Grant. But, still talks to Grant Wistrom. And he obviously doesn't live very far from St. Louis, and so we joke all the time about like, all you would ever have to do to make me happy is to introduce me to him. And he goes, oh, no. We filed a restraining order against you for him on his behalf. Because that's how much I love him, to the point where like when people who aren't like, when we're watching professional sports and they're like, you're from Nebraska. I'm like, yeah, you remember Grant Wistrom? Why is that who I think of?
Sure, I do.
So Grant Wistrom is 100% my favorite football player. And then any sport, I would actually say Melissa Elmer from the volleyball team was the first like volleyball player that I remember meeting and watching and just being in complete awe of her power. And I thought that was amazing. So
that's great. Sarah?
I knew you were going to ask me next. That's hard. I would like to say Tommy Frazier, but his J-Sker thing kind of hurts my heart. But I still love him. That's just like, this is going to sound like I have no life or I've never had a life. But his two national championship football teams were a huge foundational part of my childhood. Whole lot of great memories, and it's all just kind of tied in with that era. I'm just going to pick that one. I have to think about a all-time player. Ask that's
Sarah
my brother.
about the Texas A&M game where we didn't realize we were 30s behind.
I think that's 30
seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds behind live, and everyone upstairs spoiled the ending for us. Would that have been that might have been the 06 one, the Maurice Purify catches it in the end zone. I was at that game. I was at that game, and I had the worst seats in the country to watch that play because we were like like in the fourth row, but like 100 yards away with the sideline in front of us. So I watched the other side of the A&M Stadium, 30,000 fans with the white towels. And I just watched them, and I saw 30,000 flags stop at the same time. And I was like,
yeah, I feel like that's the best place to be. That would have been pretty awesome to see.
Yeah. It was the last game of the year, so they never let anybody on their field after a game because the field is sacred at A&M. But they were going to be changing the field after the season, and the season was done. So we got done, and we got to walk out on the field, and that was kind of cool.
Matthew, the question was directed at Sarah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right.
Long story short, we were downstairs. They were upstairs. We were all excited, like, oh, here goes the play. And then upstairs, we hear a whole bunch of happy screaming. And we're like, well, I guess like we still got excited about it, though. It was really fun.
It's better.
We didn't get to go on the field, though. There were no towels.
Yeah. See, Trey, my story's better, Trey. That's why I said it. But... All right. Point taken, Rob.
Kylie, who's your favorite all-time player in any sport, anywhere, ever?
Meg knows this. But I feel like it's kind of changing because I'm around more players lately. But Kurt Warner has always been like one of my all-time. I love Kurt Warner. Nebraska football wise, I was going to say JP just because we had him on the show and he was so good to us. I feel like it's a little different being on the journalist side. I look at it differently. So I kind of I like Garrett Nelson, love him.
Yes.
But if I couldn't just say like one favorite athlete of all time, Kurt Warner and Marc-Andre Fleury.
Ooh,
sad.
Man, that's digging deep right there. So you are a big hockey fan too, then. Yeah.
Well, it just kind of started when we got this team, and then now that I work for the team, it's all I think about or talk about or do. So I'm very behind on Husker football, but I'm a hockey girl now, I guess.
Well, if you just listen to the Redcast every week, we can keep you up to date on all of the.
That's all you have to do.
That's it. 1 hour a week. Amy.
Oh, I'm terrible at this, and it's my own husband who asked the question, but I have an awful time like saying favorite movie or song or anything. So I don't. Yeah, this is too hard. But I'll just tell you in general that I like really short, powerful running backs. Like those always get me, like that little punch it in power. So.
Like a Corey Ross or
I was going to say Corey Ross.
I was thinking of little pork chop action.
Pork chop.
Exactly. And then I thought, I have no good reason to say Corey Ross, but
you don't need one.
In general, this is true. Thank you, Meg.
Mm-hmm.
Maddie.
Yep. Volleyball, probably Gina Mancuso, who's from Papillion. I forget, somebody here said they're from, yes. So probably her for volleyball.
We're best friends. No.
Oh my gosh. Love that. And then currently, Kenny Bell. I love watching Kenny Bell.
Yes.
And the catch at Iowa. Oh my gosh. I have a video of my cousin I'm almost 6 foot. Like I'm not a petite girl. I have a video of my cousin like grabbing me and like swinging me around after he caught that against Iowa. And I think it was like 2015 or something. But probably like that was probably one of my favorite memories. But so Kenny Bell or Rex Burkhead. And honestly, like I just love JoJo Doman's like demeanor in interviews and like just watching. I feel like that's kind of something that I feel like I'm drawn to more is like how players conduct themselves. And even like listening to Martinez this past season, like getting choked up, like talking about how like they gave the sellout seats away to the local kids. I just like, I'm a softie for that stuff. Like that'll get me. So I feel like, Gina Mancuso, Kenny Bell, and Rex Burkhead. Yeah, those are probably some front runners for me.
Hard to go.
JoJo's a good choice too. I can speak from experience that he's probably one of the nicest kids that I've talked to. Like super humble kid, comes from a good family. Like, his mom and dad are just really good people. Speaking of which, quick promo: we are going to have JoJo's dad on the show here in a couple of weeks because he is an NFL agent. So he's going to come on and kind of talk about how he helps kids, make their way into the NFL and kind of how he represents them here in the future. So thought I would throw that out there, given you brought up JoJo. So I figured I might as well just throw that in there.
I did that intentionally. I knew you were going to do that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And not that
Way to
anybody
set it up.
asked, but my favorite all-time athlete is Bo Jackson. Growing up, my parents had season tickets to the Raiders. Again, that's twice this show I've mentioned them. And Bo Jackson was just huge for me. And Alex Gordon was there too, but he was a Kansas City Royal, right? Bo Jackson.
Yep.
Yeah. But as far as other guys too, Jay Novacek and Larry Allen for the old Cowboys teams in the 90s were big for personal reasons. I went to college with Larry and at a very small liberal arts school in Northern California. And then Jay Novacek, he's from Gothenburg. So,
Represent.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So you mentioned that, and that's why I threw my arms in the air, is that my mom's family is from Gothenburg, and my grandfather, after he graduated high school, jumped on a train as a hobo and rode to Northern California, where he worked in the naval
so cool.
shipyards.
Oh my gosh.
Are you
So I
guys
was just
sisters?
do you do ancestry.com? Because we might be related.
Yeah, we might
we literally might be related. There's a good chance we
Don't
have
do
people
that. They'll
that we know
convict
that
you
are-
of murder and stuff.
Yeah.
I won't convict you.
If you ever murder someone, I guess good advice.
I mean,
is
I would
don't
have to
murder
kill
anyone,
somebody.
But
Or if you have to
Actually,
murder
that is-
someone.
Actually,
Get
that
on
brings me to
Ancestry.
the next question that comes up. That's a great segue, Meg. Ready? How many confirmed
is
kills do
confirmed?
Meg and Abby have on Twitter?
Okay, so when we
Confirmed?
talk about,
None.
yeah,
I
true.
deny everything.
Denied.
Yeah, legally, I would like to plead the fifth right now. Ask Dan Lust about that. That's perfectly legal for me to do.
How's the O line doing though? Is that
Yeah,
right?
but the O-line, how's the
I'm
O-line?
doing my best, guys. I'm trying. really
Keep your
hard.
eye on
We can
Kevin
only do
Williams
so
Jr.
much.
That kid's going to be a star.
I'm really
Yeah.
excited. So, I know that was something we had talked about before of what we're looking forward to in the spring game. I don't think we talked about it on here, but just
No, we
in
didn't.
general. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I listen
Another
to Sunday
segue.
Morning Pancakes. Can I do that? I listen to Sunday Morning Pancakes every Sunday. Free shout out. I don't care. And it's listening to those guys talk about how they feel different, the differences they've been through, make me really excited. Not to see the O-line necessarily, but to see the improved athleticism of the team. And I think specifically looking at how that O-line is going to just quick snap off the ball, super, super stoked.
No, that's Newly, and who's the other? Is that Banks? Is that
Yeah.
Bank?
Our football basketball friend, Brandon Banks.
That's right.
We should have set him for our
my
favorite
God,
Nebraska
he has-
basketball player.
Who has that picture though?
Yes.
So
Oh
good.
my God, I love it. It's so good.
I have two other tweets of the week. Maybe I'll put them up here. Meg.
Yeah.
And one of them, this is Abby. You had talked to me about this one, so I wanted to put this one out there. This was College Football Home. It said, with March being Women's History Month, we love girls who love football as much as we boys do. Only 11% of women consider themselves avid fans compared to 34% of men. So when I see someone bashing a girl because it's a manly sport, please be ready to get called out. So
I love that the how many confirmed kills is still up there with that question.
I feel like I should just leave it there for the rest of the night, but I'm going to pull it down here in a second because we did get.
Yeah, College Football Home is great. I know Meg and I joke a lot about bullying hurts because they just post stats and it's almost always right about just how bad Nebraska's been lately. But I've had just one-on-one conversations with him and he's so supportive of women, of female fans. So kind of circling back to what we talked about, how there are some really great kind of advocates and men who are you guys know what you're talking about. That's a great example of one. And so if you don't follow them, I suggest it, but know that if you're a Husker fan, it's not going to be fun always. Yeah.
I think he's an Iowa fan, but yeah, to your point, I mean, it's whatever. It's, stats are stats. They hurt, but he's good dude. And
Good dude. Yeah.
I have another one here, and I wanted to post this. This was just a couple of tweets that came out, and it was about ESPN this last week. And first off, it was a reminder. ESPN is calling this the most expensive women's Final Four production they've ever done. ESPN, by the way, is not beholden to equity reports, Title IX, etc. They're doing this because it's a good business decision. And up here, the March Madness, they said a national championship sellout for the women's national championship game, South Carolina against UConn, 18,304 in attendance. And I should make a point of saying, and somewhere I have it here, Nebraska, Wisconsin drew 18,755 for the volleyball final this year. And one of the reasons we bring that up, Boomer, who of course was trying to mask himself as Jumbo Steam earlier with his question, but Boomer, he's made this statement a number of times with volleyball, like, why the hell are television networks not getting behind promoting this? And I remember when Nebraska played Texas for the national championship, I think it was in 2016, it was on ESPN2 so that ESPN1 could be showing like the Woolen Bull Weeder bowl game between like two no-name teams. You know, it was like the first of 40 bowls. And it's like, how are you ever going to build a sport if you keep putting it on ESPN Plus or something that you have to stream? And, you know, I live in Roca, so, you know, I have like one internet option and it's not very good. So it's like, you know, how are you going to build a sport? And right there, that tweet right here, or this slide shows it, that they put some money into it. They're actually going to, you know, produce this thing. They're going, and Kai, maybe I'll ask you this, since you've worked it with, you know, in the industry, you know, you put some resources to it, you promote it, and the product sells itself. I mean, you see that in those stats there, the basketball and the volleyball numbers that they've had.
Yeah, when you first put that tweet up, I hadn't seen it yet, but I felt like it's a little bit misleading because when I worked at ESPN, I worked on the women's March Madness tournament, and they have had the tournament for a long time, and they have done a lot in that realm. I think a lot of it is because they don't have the men's tournament, but at the same time, that has been a priority for them for a while. So I understand what you're saying, but I also feel like the volleyball being on ESPN2, that's not okay. I don't know why they do that. I think volleyball, in a sense, people can get behind it more than women's basketball, because I think volleyball is more of a women's sport. But I don't know. It's super interesting why they don't provide more resources for other sports besides women's college basketball.
Do you see it changing there, though? I mean, was this a step in the right direction this year, you think, or is it?
Well, like, what exactly are they doing different? Just spending more money?
I think they're actively promoting it finally.
But they've always had the tournament. So when I was working on it, I felt like we were promoting it, but maybe it's in a different way. Sometimes I think that, like, people can, I don't know, it can be misleading in the way people present things. But I would be curious to know, like, what's different from last year and previous years. Maybe they just made a sick graphic and it sold out sooner, and who knows?
So wasn't this the first year that the label March Madness got to be used for the women's tournament?
Yes.
That could play into it too.
And I know when I was working there, that's all a money thing. That's just like because of the networks. It's not necessarily because like men versus women, because you couldn't even say March Madness like in a Sports Center read. So even if you were talking about Kentucky losing, you couldn't say March Madness. You had to say in the NCAA tournament. So, but that's interesting that you can say it now.
Yeah, this was the first year they also called the women's tournament March Madness. Like, it wasn't referred to that before this year as March Madness. So, yeah, I think it's kind of one of those things where, like, how do you grow the sport, get more viewers, earn more revenue if you're not promoting it, if you're not like seeking these out and trying to grow it? Like, because people are like, oh, well, they don't put it on because it doesn't make enough money. How will it ever put it on? People want to watch volleyball. People want to watch softball.
Well, and I
want to
go
the games on TV.
on a rant with that too. Like even Nebraska, where volleyball is huge, I have a terrible time trying to find a volleyball shirt to wear. And maybe there are more in stores in Lincoln, but online there is a whole bunch of nothing. And if I do find something, it's not Adidas, it's just some knockoff graphics stuff, which, you know, is cute and creative, but why isn't Adidas putting money behind that when it's so huge and such a long sellout for Nebraska? And you know, we out of anybody are going to be giving money to that.
My dad emailed John Cook once to get a Nebraska volleyball shirt.
Did he get one?
That's awesome.
No, I don't. Well, actually, I'll have to follow up with him. He told me though. He's like, I don't know. Don't ask me how he found it, like his email even. But
yeah, that ad.unl, it's fine.
Yes.
Speaking of emailing John Cook, which is it's very random that I have a story about this,
yeah.
but yeah, my daughter has always wanted to be like a ball girl, you know, at the volleyball game, gives the ball back.
Same.
And right, yeah, I'm like, and me too. But my uncle works for the university, not with the athletic department in any capacity, any way, shape, form at all. And he's like, I'll try to email John Cook, and it was right before they were playing Texas this year in the tournament. And he freaking answered. And I was like, what is he doing on his phone right before this game? Answering your freaking email. I'm like, if
because
they
he's
lose,
an angel, because he's
fault.
amazing.
Yes, he is. He is. He's like,
John Cook can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Maybe get back to me in the summer. Okay.
So I don't know if anybody saw this. This was yesterday. Danny Busboom Kelly tweeted something out. So speaking kind of like television and how we promote women's sports. I'm just going to read it. Sorry. It says, I watched women's basketball captivate a fan base year after year. And this year I saw firsthand how fast volleyball can do the same. Only 19% of our tournament was televised in 2021. Volleyball is ready to burst, and we need more room to showcase our sport and the amazing athletes that play it. And so
absolutely
that like resonated a lot with me as a volleyball fan, right? And as a loving, especially at Nebraska, our women's sports, because we are a women's sports state now. And it just blew my mind that only like I had to think back and be like, oh, right. No, I had to pay for a subscription for ESPN Plus to watch the early rounds of the tournament when there were no other sports happening.
Yep.
Yep. What else is being shown on ESPN that you can't show? You have like 12 different ESPN channels that I can get for free with my ESPN subscription that I don't have to pay extra to see. And like, I get it. It's first rounds. It's colleges you've never heard of. It's probably games that aren't that exciting, but you get schools that this is the first time they've ever made it into a tournament and they get to play in Lincoln. And it's like, why not promote that and grow it? There are so many fans of volleyball who are paying for it. It just blows my mind.
Abby, that's a wonderful point. And you know, men's basketball, every single game's on.
Yeah.
And volleyball, they're not. I went out to Colorado to watch the first two rounds of the March Madness. Well, guess what? On Friday, we went to a sports book where, you know, you have 100 TVs and it's where all the sports betting's going on out there in Colorado. And Nebraska is playing Gonzaga in women's basketball first round. Can't find it. It's not televised. How do you build I guess that's the question. How do you build the sport if you're never going to show it?
And I love what Nebraska Public Media is doing, or I might have the name wrong now, but I feel like them broadcasting the volleyball games and a lot of the baseball games and stuff like that is just doing so much good for those sports in Nebraska. And that's not your typical thing that you think of public media doing, but it's what Nebraskans want. And it just produces such good vibes because then people can watch the games. I'm jealous because I can't get those here in Montana. Outside the broadcast, even for like internet options and stuff. But yeah, I love how they're doing that for the women's sports.
Yeah. And Amy, I just watched a thing on the Nebraska Public Network, and they were talking about volleyball in the state and how they've grown it. And you've seen Creighton volleyball be really good now, and Nebraska volleyball. And if girls can't make it onto one of those two teams, they end up playing at other power schools. I mean, volleyball's so big in the state. And I think to your point there, what our local media has done, because there's such just a fever for anything Husker. My goodness, I'm watching bowling. I'm watching bowling. We're blue
so
blood in
fun
bowling.
though. They're so fun to watch.
Winning's fun.
Winning
It
is
is.
fun.
Mhm.
And they're great girls. They had a tournament. Sorry, I'm gonna hijack. They had a tournament down here in St. Louis in February or something. And like 3 of our alumni group were like, we'll go support them. It'll be fine. Maybe nobody will show up. There were so many people there because their families and their friends travel to go see
travel.
them. Like,
Absolutely.
it made
We're
me
Nebraska.
so happy. And it was like, and it's fun. I learned a lot about competitive bowling and all the things that are in it and what makes our team so good. And it's like, oh my God, why does anybody make fun of us for being a bowling team? Bowling is hard.
It's a sport too.
It
But
is.
no, like we have such a like Nebraskans are such good fans, and we have such a hunger right now for winning. Like even when we're starting to do well at the end of the Nebraska ball season, like all of a sudden everybody wanted to jump on and just be excited about something because we have few times during this time of year to be excited, and it was great to have that instant energy for it.
We have few times to be excited about men's sports. Think of what women's sports are doing right now. Think of what volleyball's done. Think about what women's basketball did, and think of what softball's doing right now. Think of bowling. It's amazing.
I think our softball team's on like a 10-win streak right now.
Oh, wow.
They won 2 of the 3 games by like whatever the run rule is against Rutgers. Like, why are we not talking about the fact that the women's softball team is like destroying people?
There's a run rule in softball.
I think that, yeah. And
what did they call it? The mercy rule? Is that what they still call it?
It's just a run rule. Billy Andrews is murdering softballs so often that people are just walking her because no one wants to pitch to her anymore.
No way.
It's like, all the time.
So good. They're all so good. It's such
so Barry Bonds was the Billy Andrews of Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Well played.
See what I did?
Yeah. Honky, you got to cut us off because 6 girls are going to talk for 3 more hours.
Well,
I was sitting here looking at the time and I was thinking to myself, like, this is probably like the most entertained I've been doing the show.
So
and
I mean, Rob, and you're not. I just didn't include you at the beginning, and now we don't want you on it. But you're not part of our DM chain that we've been doing on Twitter.
Thank God.
I'll tell you this. I mean, I knew the energy was going to be brought tonight, and nobody has disappointed. This has been wonderful, and I want to thank everyone here. But let's go around the room. Let's everyone have a parting shot, and everyone can kind of give their final thoughts here. But And you know what? I'll start with Rob because he hasn't talked much tonight. So we'll start with Rob and we'll go around the room from there.
Well, I just want to say that this just confirms in my head that Husker fans, men or women, are the best fans on the planet. I'll be driving through Nebraska this week, and my favorite thing about it is that, like, I'll be wearing my Nebraska shirt. I'll be stopping off to get gas probably a couple times on the way there. And the best part is that everybody looks like me when I go in there. Like, everybody's wearing red. Everybody is straight Husker. And it's funny because half the time, like, I'll say to the gas attendant, like, and I'll be like, hey, man, like, are you excited about the spring game this weekend? He's wearing a Husker shirt, everything. And he'll be like, oh, is that this weekend? You know what I mean? It's just, so it's like, but it's just Huskers are everywhere. And I'm really looking forward to it. And if any of you guys are going to be there, Honky and I are going to be trekking all over Lincoln. So just, message us, let us know. We'd love to hang out, meet up. I know we're planning on doing the baseball, maybe 1 or 2 nights this, Friday. And, and if we run into one of you too, who knows, you'd be welcome to maybe sit down and do the rapid reaction with us too. So we'll be doing that right after the spring game. So we'd love to have any of you on.
Very cool. Abby.
Is it okay if I have 2? They're quick.
Oh yeah, I have like 12 sometimes.
Okay,
you can go there is no time limit here. We can go.
I have a banner that says over under 3.5 minutes for Honky talking on it.
So number 1, please remember that teams in the 90s only watched film and only studied the playbook and had 0 fun. So no fun, Husker fans. That's a joke. Sorry, I have to explain that now. And second, women belong in sports and women belong in sports fandoms. And so if you are a woman in sports, please be loud with us and we'll support you.
What's your shirt, Abby?
Oh, my shirt that says women belong in sports. Did I get this shirt specifically for this podcast? Yes, I did. Is it still amazing? Yes, it is.
So Abby has a shirt just for this podcast. Rob has a Kool-Aid pitcher just for it. This is great. Sarah.
Well, I'm just going to say, in the words of the legendary Rick Ross, when you're a Cornhusker, you're a Cornhusker.
Woo.
GBR.
We're going to win the division.
I forgot about that part.
That's our favorite line. We still say it all the time.
I forgot that part.
I'm going to skip over Meg. We're going to go to Maddie.
Yeah, I think this is just like affirmed why I'm a Husker fan. Is just like all of you are by definition sort of strangers to me, and I just think this has been awesome, and thank you so much for letting me be a part of it. I hope to see you guys. I will be at the spring game and at the baseball game on Sunday, so yes, absolutely, I would love to meet up with some of you guys.
Awesome. Amy.
I'm just so jealous of all of you guys who get to go to the spring game, because it has been so long since I've got to use my season tickets and see a Husker game live, but I'm going this year. And also, this was my prepared parting shot. Drink local.
Is that which brewery was that?
So this is, I'm backwards on my turning. So this is Higher Ground Brewery in Hamilton, Montana. They're a very little bitty place that has really great pizza. So
that's awesome.
I'll be bringing some really beer and whiskey with me this weekend for some people. So,
where are we tailgating?
Nice.
Rob?
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I probably won't be drinking any of it. I'm just bringing it to share. So,
yeah. Well, let's finish with the popping kernels, and we'll start with Kai. Your parting shot.
Well, I thought it was supposed to be like something snarky, and
it can be whatever you want.
Please be snarky.
So I'm not allowed to be snarky anymore, but just no mansplaining, and don't be a jerk on Twitter, whether it's to a personal account, a team account, a player account, because there is a human behind that, and people don't realize how mean they can be. So don't be a mansplainer and be nice on Twitter.
Never tweet at players, right, Meg?
Right.
Yes.
Never tweet at anyone mean things. Like,
that's right.
It's awful.
That's very true. Meg.
All right. Well, my parting shot is that I want to do this again, like 100 more times with, like, we can just do a whole like spin-off series with celebrity guests. We can do games, and we can have snacks. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I seriously had so much fun. And
you're totally replacing me, aren't you?
Rob, you've been dropped.
I mean, it does say.
Notice I'm not on the DM chain. Like,
yeah,
I'm not on the DM chain. That's like
we
first
quoted
step.
Mean Girls for a solid 24 hours in the DM chain. So.
We didn't bring up.
It was so fetch.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh,
that's awesome. Yeah, I want to thank everyone for being a part of this, and that was going to be my quick parting shot, was that this doesn't have to be a one and done. We can do more of these, and these can be, we can do different types of shows. We mentioned Aaron Sorensen earlier, and I think of like Priscilla Joseph too. There's all kinds of different shows, and this first one that we put together, the biggest challenge was getting it down to just 6. You know, I mean, at first I had 10 and 12 and 14 names.
And you sent me this huge list of people, and I was like, have you ever talked to 10 women at once? We got to narrow this down a little bit. Like, I love it, but
not just 10 women, but 10 women who are really excited to talk about, like, Nebraska, like,
right.
And you know, and I mentioned where everyone's from, but also just we have different age groups. We have we have a very diverse population, and I want to continue that with these conversations that we have. I mean, the Husker Nation is so much bigger than just what goes on inside the state. I mean, and we've seen that here, and it's something that I really want to continue to. That's something we can tell stories, and this venue that we have here is a great way of doing it. And I really appreciate everyone's time here, and this was a fun forum. I really want to do this again. So thank you all. And until we see you next Redcasters, that will be another Go Big Redcast.
Go Big Red.